So today we're going to learn about conquerors of chaos. Now, we are called to be the conquerors because we are called to be the head and not the tail. We are also called to be the overcomers. I believe that everyone that is watching right now, in this time, that we would be overcomers. In other words, we are going to come out of this better than we came into this. I want to tell you guys some keys to be the conquerors of chaos that I believe are going to help in this season. In the chaos individuals are going through, we obviously are going to freak out. For some of us, but for some other people, it might be a different story. They might be calm about it, but the chaos, when we are in a very bad chaos, we don't know what would happen to us. We don't know where our journey is going to look like for us. We don't know how our schools and study are going to look like for some of us. We don't know if our job are going to be like or if we're ever going to get it back. Our stress might grow, our anxiety might come, we start to freak out, and our lives get pretty chaotic. But I have news for you. Jesus will be here for us with open arms to calm us down, and he will say, "Everything will be okay. I will be with you." Do you know that God turns up in chaos? In fact, in Genesis, it will tell you that God turns up in chaos, and he can create something wonderful out of it. If you look at the creation narrative in Genesis, you will see that creation is based on chaos. Let's read Genesis 1 verse 1. It says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Now, formless and empty, in Hebrew it is translating as tohu and bohu. That means chaos and confusion, devastation, but look at this. God turns up in confusion and chaos, and he begins to create the chaos, and worlds begin to be formed. Trees, plants, and living things come to life in the chaos of it all. Do you know that God turns up in your chaos? Do you know that God creates in your chaos? Do you know that God can turn nothing into something? In 1 Corinthians 14 verse 33 it says, "God is not a God of disorder, but of peace." In Hebrews 10 verse 23, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for who he promised is faithful." This is what happened under pressure. We tend to refer to our past. We tend to refer to what we used to know. We also see in John 21, when Jesus dies, when the disciples gather and they're all like, "What are we going to do? The dream is over." Peter said, "I don't know about you guys, but I'm going back to where I used to know, which is fishing." Do you remember when Jesus called him away from fishing? Usually in chaos, people tend to give up. They tend to be done, but no. In chaos, we need to keep going. Try hard in chaos. We need to be conquerors. 3 things I want to say. 1. God's perspective over our perspective. God has calling over your lives. God is working hard for us. That is called God's point of view. You see, in chaos, we need to be with him. And how do we be with him? Well, we need to read the Bible, worship, and especially focus your eyes on God. You see, perspective is important because perspective can be reality. I want you to write this down. If what you see is all, then you will never see all there is to see, because our perspective can be distorted but blurry. If you see from God's perspective. 2. Community over isolation. Stay involved in the community. Don't isolate yourself, because if you isolate yourself, it is easier for the enemy to get you. But if you don't isolate yourself, it won't be easier for the enemy to get you. Lastly, faith over fear. If we need to be the conquerors of God, we need to put more weight in our faith instead of being more scared and afraid. Thank you.